See if that finally fixes it. If not, I'm taking it to a shop. Let's go. Hey, how's it going? Let's see. Today we are going to work on my motorcycle. It's having an issue where I'm not sure if it's missing or not getting fuel, or I'm not exactly sure what's going on. This happened to me once before, and it happened right when I had just gotten gas, filled up the tank, and I assumed that I got bad gas. So I drained the tank, pulled the petcock out, went through the carburetor, didn't really find anything, put it all back together, different gas, and it ran fine. So I assumed I must have gotten bad gas. Well, it started doing it again, and I hadn't gotten gas or anything like that. So now I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Here's a clip of what it sounds like. Kind of hard to tell from the video, but it's got a super rough idle. It actually won't keep itself idling at all. I have to apply throttle to get it to keep idle. And then when I'm riding it, once I get like, I don't know, around 2,500 RPM, it sounds almost normal. But anything above that, it's not good. And anything below that, it's not good. So all of that being said, I went ahead and ordered some parts that I figured could be a possibility, and are old on the bike anyways and probably need to be replaced. So I got a new coil, plugs, wires. I'll replace all of that stuff one at a time to see if any one of them actually fix the issue. If that doesn't work, I'm going to check the jets on the carburetor and see if something's plugged in there. And with my luck, none of that stuff will work, and we'll have to figure something else out. So let's get started. All right, so no getting lucky on parts changing. Cool. I'm going to pull the carburetor apart, see if I can find anything in there. And then, geez, I don't know. Guess we'll see. If that doesn't take care of it, we'll have to figure it out. All right, so I think I've narrowed down the problem. Wasn't the plugs, wires, or ignition coil, which I don't mind replacing all of that stuff anyways. They're all, well, I don't know about the plugs, but they seem to be original to the bike, so I don't mind replacing those. And going through the carburetor, I found something in the idle jet, so that was a good thing too. None of that solved my problem. I just tested both the front and rear plugs uh, while turning it over to see if they were getting spark. Front cylinder is not getting any spark at all. So, and what do you know, without the that wire plugged in, the front spark plug wire, it runs exactly the same as it does with it plugged in. So now I just got to start tracing wires and figure out where my issue is there. So let's get to it. All right, so I did some more work, digging, trying to figure things out. Um, I'm dumb. You guys probably have figured this out. Uh, Apparently, you can pull codes from these bikes. Um, so I pulled the code, and it's saying the crank position sensor. So I'm going to pull that out. It's really hard to see in there. I'm not going to bother videoing it. And then Harley dealership has one in stock that I can pick up tomorrow morning. Hopefully that solves my problem. Nice little tune up on my bike otherwise. So I'll get back to you when I'm putting that part in the bike and see how it goes. All right, how's it going? So we've got the new crank position sensor. So I kind of wanted to go over how I got to there. I was researching, trying to look for posts about similar issues people have had with their bike. And I came across somebody who mentioned a similar issue and crank position sensor. So then I grabbed the manual, start looking into it. I'm hoping to find a way to test it. But the manual that I have, it only, when it talks about it, it's only how to remove it and how to install it. And that's it. So then I start digging and digging and digging, trying to find how I can test it before I just try replacing it, throw another part at the bike, which is fine. I'm all right with that. Man, it took me a couple hours to find anything concrete on how to test it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you what I did to test it, just in case anybody else runs into this issue. Maybe this will help somebody. And I don't even know if it's correct, but I'm going to show you the process that I went through. So let's take a look. All right. So the first thing I did is got it unplugged and pulled it out of the bike and then tested resistance, which can be quite a pain in the butt because if you can see in here, it is extremely tight and the pins are real small. So be patient. And the only information I could come up with for an ohm reading, a resistance reading, said that it should be 200 to 900 ohms. And that's not what I came up with. So there we go. On the old one, I got 0.956 ohms. All right, the second thing, according to everything that I read and saw, this should, when it's installed in the bike, this should put out a very small AC voltage. So I put it back in the bike. I got my probes hooked up to it, and I hit the starter with the ignition on, and it did not put out any voltage at all that I could pick up. This is a pretty decent meter. It should pick up, 1 to 3 volts or 1 to 6 volts, whatever it's supposed to be putting out. So then in my research, I found out, which I probably should have known, but I didn't because I don't work on this stuff all the time. You can check codes on the console of the bike. And so I did that, and it gave me a code that said that this was a problem. So between those things, I figured, all right, let me grab one and see if it fixes it. So let's open this other one up. See if the resistance test is the same or different. From what I was reading, these things can fail in multiple different ways or multiple degrees of failure. And they don't just necessarily fail in a standard sort of way. But what the hell do I know? Let's get a resistance reading and see. The resistance reading is pretty much identical. So that's not a great way to tell if it's bad or not. Heck, I don't even know if it is bad. So the ohm test, both of them are fine. So let's get this thing installed on the bike and see if it makes a difference. All right, so that didn't work either. Let's do a little recap. I'm trying to get some sort of back on top of this thing. Here's what's happened so far. The bike wouldn't idle, kind of feels like it's missing or something at idle. I can get it to accelerate and I can ride it, but clearly something is very wrong. So this had happened to me one time in the past, and at the time I assumed it was right when I got gas, so I assumed I got bad gas. So at that time, I drained the tank, pulled the petcock, went through the carb, went through everything, put it back together, and for whatever reason, put different gas in it. For whatever reason, it worked. The problem was gone. So I didn't think much of it. I figured I got bad gas. So then fast forward to this, in between then, I have since the first time it happened, I did the cams on the bike. And I probably have about 400 miles on the cams, so can't imagine that's the issue. So this time it happens, I start investigating and I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's a coil or a plug or a wire or something simple like that. So I order those parts, swap them out one at a time. Doesn't change anything, changes nothing. And then I do a little bit of digging and I see if there's any codes on the bike, which there was. That code told me that I had an issue with my crank sensor or the wiring or the module. So replace the crank sensor, test all the wiring, do all of that stuff. Still no change. Then in a little bit more of my digging, I find that the ignition module that I'm using from Daytona Tech, which I'm happy with, apparently has an update you can get because it will put that code out when there's nothing actually wrong. So I chased that code apparently for no reason. So that was all a waste. So then I go, okay, maybe there's an issue with the carb. Pull the carb apart, go through the carb, everything looks good. I did find something in the idle jet, but it didn't change anything on the way that it's operating. So now I'm just I'm a little unsure. At this point, I'm just chasing my tail. I don't know what's wrong with it. I am going to drain the fuel and check the petcock, make sure that's all right. And then after that, if that doesn't solve it, and if it does, I just got lucky, right? Because I don't actually know what's wrong with it. So at that point, I'm going to take it to a shop and have them take care of it. But we'll see. This is the way it goes. I work on stuff in my garage. I'm not an expert. I just give it a good shot and see what I can do. And at this point, I've bought a bunch of parts that I didn't need to buy. Whatever, not that big a deal. So yeah, let's drain the fuel and see if there's anything in there. All right, I've cut it out of the recordings, but at the end of each day, I've just been like, man, screw this. I'm in over my head, taking it to a shop. I've said that, I don't even know how many times, 5 days that I've got to work on this. And yesterday, I had every intention. Yesterday was a Monday. I had every intention of taking it to a shop, but all the shops were closed because it's Monday. So I had the first half of the day to work on it. So I worked on it. I drained all the fuel. You saw, drained all the fuel, did what I could, changed nothing. Then towards the end of working on it, I put a different spark plug in the front cylinder because I noticed they were fouling super quick. And it ran great for a second. And then it fouled it. So then I started digging some more. And in one thread I was reading, somebody mentioned on these S&S carburetors, make sure you clean the enriching circuit, which is basically the choke. It's not a choke, but whatever. And that's when it dawned on me. When I would make an attempt to adjust the mixture screw, I'd put that thing all the way in and the bike would run its best, but I had no more adjustment. So that's what made me think, maybe I need to put a smaller jet in it. But why would I need to all of a sudden put a smaller jet in it? That didn't make sense either. So that's when it hit me. That's probably what my problem is. The enriching circuit is gunked up or whatever and allowing a bunch of fuel pass. So, because I mean, it'll completely carbonize, like blacken the spark plugs within like 30 seconds of running. And I got fuel coming out of the carburetor and pooling up in the carburetor, and it's just ridiculous. So that's what we're going to do today. Pull the carb, put the original jets back in it, and go through that enriching circuit and see if that finally fixes it. If not, I'm taking it to a shop. Let's go. All right. I flipping did it. God, that made me feel dumb. Which is probably true. I probably am dumb. But that was it. The enricher circuit was quite dirty. There was a bunch of stuff in there. Got that cleaned out, put it all back together, put back in the intermediate jet that I had in there originally. And what do you know? Ran great, no issues, no problem solved. So I replaced all of that shit, did all of that work for nothing. I probably should have took it to a shop right off the bat. or use my brain more. At any rate, next time it happens, I'll know. So yeah, she's all back together. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna go ride my bike.